we, the Utah Jazz did it again? You mean this incarnation of the Utah Jazz leads the NBA in wins at 4-1?
What are you talking about, man?
I know it's cray-cray, but the Utah Jazz lead the NBA in wins. They're 4-1. They beat the Rockets last night. And Jake, I guess the biggest question of the morning is, how long can the Utah Jazz keep winning?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think, the idea of this team winning, more than like 30 or 35 games is kind of crazy if you think about it. Like, we expected this team, I think most people expected this team to really struggle and to be a lottery team, and now you're 4-1. And I think, obviously you're 5 games in here and you've played well. Last night and basically in every game, you've seen stretches of the game where they will turn it over a lot. They will blow 18 to 20-point leads that they've built, and they will allow teams back in. And so if they keep doing that, inevitably they'll pay the price. But I think that, if this team can just win, if this could just be a 500 basketball team, I think everybody would be jumping for joy. I think everybody would be like, wow, if you're a 500 basketball team on an 82-game schedule, that's, somewhere around 40 wins, which for this team, I think would be extraordinary. So how long can they keep it up? I mean, it feels like they can keep this going for a while just because this is kind of how they play. But I don't know. We'll see what they do against the better teams in the league, because I largely feel like you obviously played the Rockets 2 games here and you split with them. You look at the Pelicans matchup was a dogfight. Obviously the Timberwolves matchup, you played well there. So it'll be interesting to see how they play against opponents who are some of the best in the league as they work through the schedule.
But let's be honest, this is not a 65-win team.
No.
I mean, when you're playing 80% basketball, which the Jazz are right now, you're not going to win 65 games. But I think this team is capable now. If they play at this level, this is a 40-win team now. And I think that there's a couple of things at play here. Obviously, they're enjoying themselves quite a bit. I mean, that game last night was fun to watch again. And you look at Lauri Markkanen, you look at the way that Markkanen is playing. I mean, it's hard not to be thrilled with Lauri Markkanen being here. I mean, the guy drops 24 last night, clearly led the line, especially late in the game with that dunk. I mean, you just feel like Lauri Markkanen is this team's now best player. And I think he's that guy that we've been looking for, to step forward and represent the Jazz in the All-Star game. Like, it feels like he is your best player, but it also feels like you've seen some lineup combinations out of Will Hardy that you're really excited about. When you have Conley, Sexton, Clarkson, and Markkanen out there together, and if it's Olynyk or Vanderbilt, whoever that 5th guy is, I mean, those 4 guys together are quite exciting. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with Sexton. He left this game hurt, but I mean, when those 4 guys were out there for that stretch, this team was at times electric. And, I don't even think I'm using hyperbole or exaggerating when you have Clarkson, Conley, Sexton, and Markkanen out there together. That's a fast, active, very solid defensive group, by the way. Like, you just feel really good about those pairings. And I think you're seeing the value in Malik Beasley being a really solid 3-and-D guy. You like the way that he is contributing to the team. I mean, obviously, the younger guys, you want to see the Walker Kesslers, the Agbajis. You want to see that development. But right now, the experience level on this team is exciting, and it's these new guys and Clarkson and Conley combined that are really pushing this team forward. And Jake, I think that's what is so attractive about this team is it's not a bunch of young guys trying to lose games. It's a bunch of guys that have come together to be a really solid basketball team early.
Yeah, and I think that, you combine that team with Will Hardy, a guy who's a younger head coach, but clearly is doing a pretty good job. And I think that's kind of why you're seeing the early on success that they're having. And I think that, I've really noticed that Will Hardy has a good feel for when to call timeouts. I don't particularly mind his out of timeout plays, what he draws up and kind of what he puts them in. And I think that, again, I'm going to keep beating this drum, but I think, Jordan Clarkson has to figure out how to, reel that shot selection in. When those bad shots come in, like, he's taking accountability for them. But I think that, as we get close to that 10 to 15 game mark, if he can kind of reel that in and eliminate those bad shots that he tends to take as his game has demanded over the last couple of years. We see him being a guy that takes a lot of shots that maybe he shouldn't take. If he can reel that in and keep moving the basketball, they will have a lot of success, because it seems like every time they move the basketball and every time they swing it and get the defense to move left to right or right to left, they get a good look. Now, making it obviously is a different story, but they're getting good looks. And that, to me, is what you have to keep doing from an X's and O's standpoint to continue to score with the best people or the best teams in the league, because that's really what this team has to keep doing. They can play defense. They're athletic enough. It's nice to have a Jazz team that has the athleticism to play defense with the Houston Rockets, but they need to keep generating those high-quality looks for guys, as you mentioned, like Malik Beasley or, your Jared Vanderbilt or even Mike Conley taking some of those shots. So if they can keep generating those, I think you're going to continue to see them being right in these games. I think the only downside right now would just be blowing these big leads that they build. It's definitely been a trend that they're dealing with.
Well, and I think a lot of that is going to be their three-point shooting percentage, because this is not going to be a team that probably shoots 35, 40% nightly. I think they shoot 28% last night. So, I think when you shoot that many threes, and let's be honest, that's what this league's become. Right? I mean, this has become a league that is fast break, shoot threes. I mean, it's very difficult to win in the NBA today playing half-court 1s and 2 basketball. The era of throw it into the post and get fouled has been long dead in this league. So you're going to live and die with that. But I think overall I don't think it's too much to say that the Utah Jazz are the best story in the NBA right now. I mean, it is unbelievable that they are 4-1. The LA Lakers are 0-4.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a 7-game stretch coming up where they are underdogs in their next 7 games, including 2 against the Jazz, by the way. I mean, the way that the coin is flipped on the Western Conference is remarkable, and it's going to be interesting to see where this team plays out and how this team plays out and how all of this shakes out, because they are a wildly entertaining team to watch. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And I know we've talked about this a lot here on the Monty Show, but they are a wildly entertaining team to watch. Lauri Markkanen is the prototypical Jazz man, a guy that is a 7-footer that can shoot, that can score, that can bang. He plays he's a try-hard defender, and they absolutely have big man size. Like, if you think about the 7-footers on this team, I don't know. Is Kelly Olynyk truly 7 feet? Like Olynyk, you look at Markkanen, Walker Kessler absolutely is a 7-footer. Jared Vanderbilt. I mean, you look at the bigs on this team, they're all skilled for the most part. I mean, Vando's still trying to find his way, I think, as an offensive player in this league. But Jared Vanderbilt's absolutely a valuable piece that is only going to get better. I don't know what Walker Kessler's upside is. I think we all like what we've seen from him. But I mean, you have bigs that have size and skill. Yeah. And I think that really is something that you can leverage.
That's right, T.
Yeah, if you're the Jazz, I think that's something you can absolutely leverage. By the way, one other thing I think I need to say.
Yeah.
That court last night was fire.
Yeah, it was nice.
That basketball floor at Vivint.
Yeah, I like what they did there. I like the design. I like, obviously, when it comes to basketball courts, I think I always like courts that have a lot of contrast in them. So, you have the black outline with a real nice, I don't know what, if that's like a ash floor, like what kind of wood they used and how they put that together. But it's a really nice look. I think they nailed that.
It's parquet-esque. You know what I mean? With the diagonal lines. And I actually, for the first time last night, thought to myself, this minimalist Utah Jazz note at center court, I actually can get down with it in that scheme.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a huge fan of the current incarnation of the Jazz note by any stretch.
Right.
But I have to tell you, the black uniform is by far their best uniform.
Facts.
That floor was sizzling. That was beautiful last night. I mean, the renovations they've done in the arena have turned out fantastically well. And for the first time, I can say I like the minimalist look of this Ryan Smith redesign. And it's been hard to find that you like, right? I mean, this black and white thing, this new design that the Jazz have rolled out, I haven't been a huge fan of that. And I know it's been quite controversial, obviously, here in Salt Lake City, but I love that court last night.
Yeah, it was nice. I think that, it's definitely a win, and I think that if that's going to be their home court most times outside of when they wear purple, I'm fine with that. I think it's plenty gets the job done.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah,
absolutely gets the job done. First one in this morning, Eric and Raleigh. How the heck are you? He says, top of the morning, it's time. Okay. Salty Drunk says, morning, lads. Have a great show.
Thanks, mate.
Okay. I guess I will wait for your brand as a Salty Drunk to come back. Jesse Harsh says, it's ridiculous. Is it ridiculous to say that Lauri Markkanen is an all-star caliber player? No, I think, listen, as a Bulls fan, Lauri Markkanen's been an all-star caliber player for a good part of his career. He's just not consistent.
Yeah.
And so, again, in this question of, how long can you keep this up? One of the questions I have is, how long can Lauri Markkanen be your best player? How long will Lauri Markkanen be your best player?
Yeah, and I'm curious what, how teams, as the season goes on, like how teams adjust, once the scouting departments kind of catch up and see what the Jazz are doing, because their success, the thing with the Jazz success is like it mostly is just hard work. It's mostly just like beating you to a spot or out rebounding you, or like it's not like it's just a scheme and like one guy is carrying them and you can double that guy.
Well, they're also playing with pace. They're pretty consistently getting up and down the floor. The outlet pass has been pretty aggressive for the Jazz. So I think the way they're playing, one of the things that gives you encouragement is you ran up and down last night with one of the young run and gun teams, and you did not seem to be tired at all.
Yeah.
Like, they look fit. They look able to play at a very high pace. And I think against teams like Denver and Minnesota, you have to do that.
Yeah.
You have to. I wonder how you match up, against the Lakers, for instance, who want to be, I think, a slower, plodding, methodical team. I think you will run by the Lakers.
100%.
I really do. I think the Lakers are...
Well, and I think the Jazz... I'm still not ready to say I expect the Jazz to beat teams. I'm getting there, but I'm not ready to say that. But like, if you just on a surface level say, a work hard, fast paced team, you should be able to beat the Lakers just on that alone.
What's up, Teddy Wayman? Good to see you. Lopes fan Gabe. Hello. Eric in Raleigh says George Molotov. I cannot wait.
Right.
I cannot wait to get into George Kliavkoff today. The bite that we're going to play from George Kliavkoff from Pac-12 Basketball Media Day yesterday is unbelievable. Kurt Myers, good morning to you. What's up, Kenai Johnson? M. Alvarez, Strange Clouds. He says, go Jazz, BYU sucks.
Hey, you start talking shit.
Okay. All right, Strange Clouds, good morning. Off to a good start. Kurt Myers says, start building the rings. Have you ordered your 2022-2023 Utah Jazz championship banner yet?
Yeah, I've been immunized.
Let's not get carried away. Uncle Jimmy says, let them play. These guys are so much fun with so many weapons. Who needs a, quote, superstar when you play solid, good basketball? Well, you need a superstar, and you probably need two to win a championship. I don't know that anybody's here to be regular season juggernauts.
Yeah.
And
that's what this organization has been. If we're being honest, like that's what the Utah Jazz have been over the last couple of seasons. And I think that it's like, I'm really happy for Donovan Mitchell and what he's doing. He had a hell of a game last night. At the same time, I think if you're the Utah Jazz, you're also in a great spot. And I think that, again, that's why we're asking this question. How long can the winning go on? How long can you be successful? Because you're playing good basketball, and that's the thing. Like, it does beg the question, okay, if this is what we're going to get the first half of the season leading up to the deadline and in the All-Star game, what then could you do with the deadline to make this team better, to potentially bring in one extra guy that's really talented who could fit into the scheme or whatever? That's what I think is intriguing about this team.
Yeah, I think the question of what direction do you take this team at the trade deadline now becomes fascinating.
Yeah.
With every game you win, and every day that you are a middle of the pack Western Conference team, because I don't think any of us expect this team to win 80% of their games. I just don't think that anybody believes that. But if you're going to win 60% of your games, And if you're going to win 3 for every 1 you lose, and if you start pushing 45 wins, now the question is, okay, well, if you've got 20-something wins heading for the All-Star break, and really, if you're at 20-something wins at the trade deadline, which is before the All-Star break,
right?
What do? Do you make trades to strengthen your weaknesses? Because then, I mean, for certain, you're not going to get Victor Wembanyama.
VW.
I don't know. That's going to be a really interesting storyline to play out. And again, I just look at the box from last night. Look at the minutes distribution off the bench. Talon Horton-Tucker had his best game by far in a Jazz uniform.
Y'all feel me?
I think you didn't shoot well last night. They shot 29% from 3. But THT gives you 7 boards, 4 dimes, 2 steals, 14 points. I mean, that's a pretty solid performance. You got 14 more from Malik Beasley. Gay, Kessler, Sexton, again, he left injured, so he only saw him for 10 minutes. But if you look at 20 from Clarkson, 13 from Conley, 24 from Markkanen, 6 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 dimes from Vando, like, you're getting a contribution across the board from all of these guys.
Yeah.
And you're starting to realize, well, you out-assisted Houston 28-19, right? You out-rebounded Houston. Okay, well, you're bigger than they are. Okay. But then you start looking at the way that this team is winning games, and one of the things that you see so clearly is that you're shooting free throws well. You're getting to the free throw line. Now, they out-free throwed you 20, they had 30 free throws. You had 24. But you're shooting free throws very well, so you're taking advantage there. And then I look at the some of the like points in the paint, points off turnovers, 20 points off turnovers for the Jazz.
Yeah.
That means you're opportunistic and you're getting out in transition, which is something this team has struggled with. So it's great to see that. I just look at all of these numbers, and I mean, I think you're doing great.
Yeah.
You're really doing quite well. And I think, again, when you're out rebounding teams like Houston, when you're out assisting teams like Houston, when you're out stealing teams like Houston, 5-2, you have more blocks than Houston.
Yeah.
You're just doing all of these things well, and that's why you're winning these games. And I think if you're a Utah Jazz fan, you can wake up this morning and you can say, we are outplaying the team on the other end of the floor.
Yeah, I think that's the work ethic Will Hardy has, instilled in this team. And I think that, it's not a hard concept to follow either. And that's why I think everyone's bought in on it, because it's not like you're not saying to the team, hey, it's Markkanen and Conley and everyone else can just do whatever. You're basically saying, hey, if you're on the floor, we expect you to work hard on defense and rebound, and then we expect you to get out in transition. So it just feels like everyone on the team is on the same page and that they're working hard to meet expectation. And I think when that happens, that's when you see the team game come in. And the great thing about basketball, and we don't see it as much in today's game, but when you're playing team basketball, you can beat a lot of good teams just by simply moving the ball. And that, I think, is what Will Hardy's trying to do.
Yep. Utah Jazz Talk on the Monty Show, presented by TryDayTrading.com/Monty. TryDayTrading.com. It is your avenue out of your 9 to 5. Again, here we are at 6:20 in the morning. Are you dreading your day at work? Are you dreading your day at school? Are you dreading your side hustle tonight? That's like the third side hustle you've tried. Are you worried about the economy? Again, last night, day traders, I was reading an article, day traders are out-earning stock, standard day in, day out, long-haul traders, money managers. Day traders are out-earning them significantly in today's stock market economy, and I'm telling you, you can be that guy. Do you want to be a day trader? Do you want to make significant money? Go to TryDayTrading.com/Monty. I saw my close personal really just one of the people that, I admire that we have never met even once in Alema Harrington on TV last night. Because Alema knows the same thing that I know. And that is that TryDayTrading.com is absolutely your avenue to freedom.
Larry Harrington here. I've been in the broadcast business going on 30 years now. And after that amount of time, you start to be able to pick some winners. I want to share a winner that I'm aware of with you, and that is my guys at Tri-Day Trading. They're going to teach you how to trade, and then they're going to let you trade using their money and then split the profits with you. That's a pretty winning deal. If you want to register for a free webinar, all you have to do is go to trydaytrading.com/Monty. So for more information, it's trydaytrading.com/Monty. We'll see you there.
Hey, man, listen, I can only say we run with ballers on this show. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Don't take my word for it. Don't take Alema's word for it. Get to trydaytrading.com/Monty. Good morning, Big Dog O-Town. Danny will turn them assets into at least a good Tier 2 free agent. Shout out to Mo Bamba.
Yeah, dude.
What does this team need to really we're probably way ahead of it on this. I shouldn't even ask this question.
Shout out to Mo Bamba.
Mo Bamba's not the answer.
Shout out to Mo Bamba.
What does this team need to be a real Western Conference contender? What does this team need to get to 50 wins this season?
I think you need the wing guy that can score with ease. That's what I think you need. I think you need that one guy in your starting five who can be the guy that can get you, 25 a night regularly. And I don't even think he needs to be a superstar in the league. Like, I think, you're I don't know. I don't even know what name to pull, but there are guys out there who are Tier 2 players that can get you 20, 25 a night right off the wing and play decent defense. And I think, I would love to see Vanderbilt be a guy like that, but I don't think that he's going to be the polished scorer that I think you need on this team. I think Vanderbilt's going to be the guy that gets his by working hard and using his body and really using the length he has to get his buckets. So to me, I think that's what you need to be a Western Conference power. But I also think that the longer this goes on, where this team is working hard and playing with pace and almost has this underdog mentality, if you will, the longer that's the core tenet of this team, I think it's interesting to see how that plays out when you try to go and add a free agent to that mix. How does adding a new personality to that mix affect what you're doing?
Yeah. And I think when you think about the best wing scorers in this league, again, I look at the shooting guard conversation we had yesterday on the show. It's that guy is, I think, what this team needs.
Yeah, I mean, your Jaylen Browns, if you had a Jaylen Brown on the wing doing his thing, obviously that would be awesome.
Your Book, your Tatum, your Beal, your those guys.
Yeah.
I think that's what you need. And it again, not to keep going back to it and picking the scab, but again, this is why I ask, why did this club decide to trade Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah.
Because if you have this group of guys, and obviously you wouldn't have this group of guys if you hadn't traded him, but if you put Donovan Mitchell with a group of guys like this, you're probably a better team than you were last year. So that's the guy that you're missing right now, and I think you can get that guy. Those guys are going to be available, and I again think that the Lakers are headed for a fire sale. And it's interesting, the other guy I wonder about, what if you hadn't traded Bojan Bogdanovic?
Yeah.
What if you had held on to Bojan Bogdanovic?
I think so. The thing with Bogey that I didn't love was the fact that he was such a defensive liability. The fact that guys could just blow by him. So yeah, obviously his 3-point ability is unquestioned, and his ability to score on the block, with regularity is not really in question. So to me, I'm okay, not having Bogdanovic. Obviously, I don't like the trade and how they did it and everything, but, I'm okay not having Bogdanovic just because of his defensive ineptitude. I think this team can't afford to have guys who can't play defense. That's kind of what they stand on. So.
That's one of the core tenets of this team is you have to be try-hard guy defensively.
Yes.
And it's... Yeah, so the answer is, and we can keep going back to that, and I hate doing that. We probably should never do that again. But I think where this team is, and I think what this team has, I think you're a elite wing scorer away from being a 50-win team where no matter what, give that guy the ball. Hey, we're tied or down one. We need a bucket. All right, give it to X. He'll get us a bucket. Because Markkanen's not that guy. I mean, he certainly is not shown to be that guy over his career. And I think it's that. I think it's that guy. I think it's that DeMar DeRozan guy.
Yeah.
You just know if you give him the ball that he's going to get a bucket. That's what I feel like this team needs. Big Dog O-Town gives us a $5 tip. Appreciate that, my guy. NY Monty fan says Jaylen Brown would be good. I agree with Mr. E. Let me go back up and see what they need. Robert Lambert says you need Donovan Mitchell. Mr. E says you need Jaylen Brown. Yeah. Mark Barrington says, so you're saying we need RJ Barrett, LOL. But again, I'm not an RJ Barrett guy, and I know we've had this conversation ad nauseum, but I think this is why you see Danny Ainge not trading for RJ Barrett. And I think that the information that we were getting during that whole saga is that the Jazz did not want to pay to extend RJ Barrett. And I think this is exactly why they didn't want to pay to extend RJ Barrett. And I think you're seeing again, and I didn't look specifically at RJ's game last night, but watching a big part of that Knicks game, I can tell you his game did not stand out.
Yeah, well, the thing right now that people are complaining about with the Knicks is that Jalen Brunson's not playing defense. And
he's not playing defense.
RJ Barrett is suffering on the offensive end because he's having to pick up.
I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. RJ Barrett isn't missing threes at an alarming rate because he has to play defense. I look at Jalen Brunson last night, and I agree he did not play great defense. Now they won the game, and everybody kind of credited him. But I think one of the bigger issues was that they ran with bigger guards last night in Charlotte, and it gives you some pause based on some of the numbers that you saw there. By the way, I don't know if anybody saw that Gordon Hayward had 21 points last night and 9 rebounds.
Yeah.
And I know that this is it's controversial. It's controversy in Salt Lake City.
Right.
Anyway, Gordon Hayward's back. And when you look at the enormous injury that he had in Boston,
right,
I think it took him some time to come back and feel like himself. He's looked like a pretty decent player this year. So, and by the way, I would remind you, they're doing this without LaMelo Ball.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's interesting. The Knicks are an average team because RJ's been an average player this year.
Right.
Because I still maintain he's one of their most important players. And you look at Julius Randle, I think Julius Randle has given them some solid minutes this year in New York. But that team, and I think a lot of people largely recognize, that team is going to go the way that RJ Barrett goes. Yeah. I'm not an RJ Barrett guy. I just think he's good. He's not great.
Yeah.
He's not a guy that I want to give Donnie's contract to.
Yeah, he's not a killer.
Yeah, he's not the guy that you say, oh, man, if we had RJ Barrett, this would be a 50-win team.
Yeah, no.
Because no, it wouldn't.
Not. Yeah,
it wouldn't. I'm telling you, it's not RJ Barrett. Cody Strickland says, we have the key players. Trade those picks for a superstar, and that would be what we need. Well, I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah.
I just still maintain, I asked the question, how valuable are the assets the Jazz have acquired? Because I don't think that the longer it goes on where you hang on to those picks, beyond this year, obviously your 2023 draft assets are pretty significant, and I would not trade them. I would move every future pick that you have because I think those values go down, not up.
Yeah.
Jeremy Bolton, good morning to you. My guy, did you see Alex Caruso? The virtuoso performance of the greatest player ever in the history of the world.
Yeah.
Alex Caruso.
Facts.
Mozzarella.
Facts.
He had like a really good sequence last night. Anyway, Jeremy Bolton says, if they keep Donovan, they are a better team, but only until they lose in the first round of the playoffs. Very well said. See, that's why I love you, JB. That's exactly right. Forrest G says, anyone who still thinks the Jazz are tanking for a 5 to 8% chance of drafting a guy who will have a career-ending injury, are out of their damn minds. Winning team is profitable in the financial trade market. They are. That's why I say if you've listened to this show for any amount of time, you know that we have passionately stated this team's not tanking.
Yeah.
They never have been. That's not who Danny Ainge, and I don't think it's who Ryan Smith is. I was talking to a Jazz guy yesterday who was leaning on me about, hey, we're good. I know you're good. I'm just telling you, man.
Yeah.
This team is not tanking.
Yeah, they're
not.
definitely not.
Illert Gnick says, I think we need Russell Westbrook to be a contender. Exactly right.
You're casual.
Ed Kiley says, great teams always have someone who can get their own shot when the offense breaks down or the shot clock is running. Truth. Zesty, good morning to you, sir. Zesty's Retro and Game says, morning, Jake and Monty.
So, dude.
Hey. Rob Way, would Hield and Turner help the Jazz top-notch three-point shooter and more D? Leave the Lakers out of the loop. Well, I think the Lakers, I was, again, talking to an NBA guy last night, and there's a lot of people who believe that buyout's coming. There's a lot of people who believe, and I think we talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who believe that the Lakers are going to burn this thing to the ground this year.
Wow.
I mean, there is a lot of belief out there in the NBA that they are going to trade Anthony Davis because the front office in LA does not believe he's a superstar.
Right.
He is not a foundational player.
They let you down.
But you know what the bigger issue is here is they can't make a three-pointer. They cannot shoot the three, and we just said this with the Jazz. If you're going to try and two-point your way to wins, you're not going to win very many games. You cannot rely on winning games from inside the three-point stripe. You have to make threes. If your team is going to shoot less than 30% from three, let's say, you're not going to win many games. And I think when you look at Anthony Davis and LeBron James, LeBron shot an air ball on a logo three last night. Like, what are you doing shooting from that far? But
He's just a hack.
It's the perfect example of what's wrong with this team. They don't have guys who shoot the three at a high level. Mm-hmm. And to the commenter's point, like a guy like Buddy Hield, that's a guy, like I watched that game last night with the Bulls and the Pacers. That's a guy that the Lakers should have had already.
Yeah.
You should have had that guy already. Anthony Davis, and this is the other problem with AD, it's Karl Anthony Towns all over again. Anthony Davis wants to play the 3 or the 4. He doesn't want to play the 5. Well, I got news for you, kid. You're not shooting the ball well enough, and you haven't for 2 years to go out and be a 3 or 4. You're a guy that is a 7-footer who needs to play the 5, and he doesn't want to do that. And even if he does, why did the Jazz dump Rudy Gobert? Well, twofold. He was making $41 million on average, and he's a center.
Yeah.
You don't win building around centers. So I look at the way that the Lakers are built right now. That's their problem. It has nothing to do with LeBron James. And furthermore, you want to go back a little bit? You know what it has to do with? Alex Caruso and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. When you let those two guys go and you did not keep the heart and soul of that team, because who really won the Lakers a championship in the bubble? Now, they're not there without LeBron and AD. I think we all know that.
Yeah.
They don't win that championship without Alex Caruso's defense and without Kentavious Caldwell-Pope shooting as well as he shot. The Lakers do not win a championship without those two guys, which is why it was so surprising that they let Alex Caruso go for $200,000 a year.
Brutal.
That's what the Bulls upped his money, $200,000 a year, and the Lakers said no. They traded Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to Houston or to Washington, and he now winds up in Denver. Like the mistakes that Rob Pelinka has made in roster construction and the fact that they extended him is shocking to me.
Yeah.
It's shocking. And yes, Russell Westbrook has been an abject failure for the Lakers. They have got to buy him out. It is weighting down this team.
Yeah.
And if I'm the Lakers, I play the percentages. Do not make the playoffs this year. Do not try to win now. That win now mentality for the Lakers, I think they have a 24% chance. 24% chance the Los Angeles Lakers make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. 24%. They're 0-4 right now. And they're underdogs in their next 7 games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
rough,
unthinkable.
Dude. It's rough.
It is unthinkable.
Yeah.
Big Dog O-Town says Jaylen Brown was exactly who I was thinking about. I think a lot of people think about that. Eric Xiang says we need DeAndre Hunter. He'd be fantastic.
Yep.
And I think the Jazz were very close. They were close to making a deal with Atlanta. Would Hunter been in that deal? They clearly valued him. They gave him a massive extension now. They did not want to trade him.
Yeah.
But, man, John Collins, I love that guy. Pink Man says, thoughts on Clarkson's assists. You know what the interesting thing is, and I don't know what the number is off the top of my head. you can see he is trying to be a starter on this team.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely adapting. I mean, he's definitely learning how to move the ball and like play within the system to get his shots, and it's great to see. You know, I think Jordan gets in trouble a little bit in those plays where it's like you're kind of like where there's not really a set, where you're just kind of meandering, like you're sort of in that like midway transition point where it's not a full speed break, but you're kind of half speed running up the court, and like there's not really an offensive set you're running. And so they just go kind of like a pick and roll sort of look. And I think a lot of times he likes to settle for that 3-point shot, but his floater game is really good. And I think we're seeing less of the really bad, like, just brick it type shot. And we're seeing a lot more passing out of him, which is great to see. And I do think he is tremendously talented and can get his own bucket, but there's still more growth for Jordan in his game. And I think there are more things that he can do to develop as a player. I think getting that shot selection locked in, within this system, I think will drastically smooth things out for this starting group. Once he understands where guys are always going to be and where he can always get his shots, that I think will really make a difference.
Yeah, Jordan Clarkson last night, 29 minutes, 5 of 10 from 3, 6 boards, 5 times 2 steals, a block, 20 points.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a pretty solid contribution.
Yeah, that's production, dude.
I mean, and I think Jordan wants to be a starter in this league. I think he doesn't want to be a 6-man.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at the way that Jordan played and you look at those numbers and you look at the way that his game has matured significantly, I think you're seeing a guy that's not going to be a bucket getter, exclusively a bucket getter. And I think he does play that role, but I think he is somebody that, is leading the Jazz.
And I think the challenge is like on a championship caliber team, like let's say you put Jordan Clarkson on Boston, let's say, or Brooklyn, or one of the Eastern teams.
Yep.
He's probably a 6-man coming off the bench on a championship caliber team.
I would agree with that.
That's what his role has been, and that's what his role was, obviously, for the last several years. So I think this, for him, like with the organization tearing it down and the rebuild and whatever, is very timely for Jordan Clarkson. Because if you're going to try to be a starter, like it would have had to have happened now, so it's been good for Jordan.
Dude, it's cold, by the way.
Yeah, 32 degrees this morning.
Like that collarbone, so for those of you who don't remember, I broke my collarbone as a kid. My brother jumped off of a radiator in Evanston, Illinois.
Macho man.
Yeah, and broke my collarbone with his knee.
Wow.
And so now when it gets cold, it's just like, ooh, like just popping in my collarbone. That's how I know, like, it's getting cold. Like, you're just shifting your body around.
Y'all feel me?
And every injury you've ever had comes back to life. That's how you know. Let's see, a couple more. Football 50 in 10 minutes. Big update on Tommy and Giselle.
Tommy.
Oh, I love this story. I love the Tommy and Giselle
Tommy.
drama. Rec 1, good morning to you. I agree AD was legit to want to play the 4 back then, but it's not who he is anymore. He's slower and has too much shoulder problems. That was affecting his shot. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. Mark Barrington says Kuzma, KCP, Caruso making about as much combined as Westbrook does himself, who they now need to pay to go away. Man, that's a great point. That's a great point. Although I don't think Kyle Kuzma was – I don't think he was terrible for LA. I just think he wasn't what they needed.
Yeah.
He wasn't that guy. But he's certainly grown a little bit in Washington. But I don't know. Kuzma is so mercurial and he's so difficult to read.
And you have to remember where he was at in his career when he was a Laker. I mean, he was a young guy when he was a Laker. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to right now where he is, it's easy to say, yeah, they should have kept him, but it's hard to see that when he's there.
Yep. Kurt Meyer says Saxton, I think you mean Sexton, did get much time and scored 4 points. Well, he also left injured.
Yeah.
We're waiting for an update on that, so that's important. Tanner says, please, 32 degrees is nothing. No, 32 degrees is cold. It feels like I woke up this morning, and last night was one of those nights where you just sleep so well.
Mm-hmm.
It was cold. It was...
Till one of us passes the
Yeah,
fuck
dude,
out.
like you're cuddled up with your significant other, and you're just out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get out of bed and it's like, whoa, it's cold.
Yeah.
And I love those mornings. You get it. I got in the shower this morning and there was all kinds of steam in the bathroom because the water was like, oh, man.
Yeah, you're a hot shower guy.
Oh, I'm a hot shower guy. I need my hot tub. We go through these phases where we don't get in the hot tub, and I don't quite understand it. Both of you look incredibly uncomfortable today.
Okay. Are you calling me ugly?
Okay.
You calling
I'm
me
just
fat?
sitting here like shifting and like playing with my collarbone a little bit, but I don't know. I'm wearing my Carhartt jacket, or my Columbia jacket. I'm not uncomfortable.
I'm fine.
What do you mean we look uncomfortable? Shot Reyes Filgus, says 82-1. Somehow you want to bet? I don't think I wouldn't bet the mortgage on that. Bradley Beal would be nice. He would be, Mar, but that's not going to happen. Kuz was more immature on all aspects of his game in LA. I agree with that. Tanner Plummer says, guys, I love this team. I wish they had Mark Eaton. I love this Jazz team. They're probably going to 50 games, but they're still going to be fun to watch. They're not going to win 50 games.
Hey, guys.
In my opinion. They're not going to be 50. They're not. Seth Anderson. Are the rumors true that Jake is waiting until marriage?
Seriously.
We're not allowed to talk about that. We're not. I would love to. There's a huge update on the marriage thing, but we're not allowed to talk about it.
Okay, we can talk about it, but we're not
allowed to talk about it. We will not talk about it.
Apologize to that man.
Let's see. Shot Reyes Filgus. Your name's Shot from now on. Chot? Chot. Chot. Not Chot. Chot says Lauri better stay healthy. He better.
Wow.
He better. Tanner says, LOL, I'm uncomfortable today. Put a smoker on the line if they win 50 games. They're not going to win 50 games. They're not going to win 50 games. Tanner Plummer says, hey, Mont, how was the dentist? Not fun. Dude, I don't know what's going on. Usually when I go to the dentist, it's not painful. The last 2 times I have been to the dentist, and I've been going to the same dentist for years now.
Right.
You know the shot they give you with that big, long syringe they stick into your gum?
Dude, it's so gnar.
It just hits me with like an electric bolt of shock.
Yeah.
Like I broke a tooth. I had a filling on my back molar.
Come on, man.
And I broke a tooth, and then I didn't realize I broke it, so it sat there for several months, I guess.
Right.
From what the dentist told me. So eventually it cracked, the back wall fell out, the filling fell out, like it was a real pain in the ass. And so I go to the dentist, and he fills it, and then yesterday I went back, and he essentially put a temporary crown, took a mold, shaved down my tooth, took a mold, put a temporary crown on there, etc. But he goes to put the shot in to my gum, and it just was like, you know how you're in so much pain that you hear it? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? And it just is like, oh, and you can't move because the guy literally has half of his hand in my mouth, and my mouth is open, right? And he's got half his hand in your mouth. You can't move. And it didn't hurt until like he pushed the needle in further.
Yeah.
And then it was like,
Fucking A.
Yeah, dude. And it was like I had tears running out of my eyes. It was so painful. Like, I mean, it wasn't, when you're crying and your tears are running, but when you're not crying, but still your eyes are watering.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my
dude.
God.
Yes. Yes.
It was
horrible,
brutal.
bro.
And then he goes to he takes his drill.
Donnie, please.
The worst sound ever. And he starts working on my tooth, and it was like,
yeah.
And so he
It
put some
vibrates
more in,
your
then
eardrum.
it was fine.
Yeah.
But the worst part about going to the dentist when they're doing drill work is the taste and the smell.
Oh.
It's gnar, dude. Yesterday was not a good trip to the dentist.
No.
It was, Taylor Made Gaming and Sports said Mark Eaton. Yes, I did.
Right.
God bless Mark Eaton. Tanner said, I'm going to the dentist tomorrow, and I'm not looking forward to it. There you go. Mark Eaton is better than Rudy Crybaby Gobert. Okay. MY Monty fan says Mark Eaton's beard has nothing on Teddy Wayman's beard. You might as well pencil that thing in for president in 2024.
Yeah,
well,
you know what I mean?
And the problem is Teddy's beard has declined in prominence as far as our polling goes because
Right.
we do scientific polling to get the data right. Uh-oh. As all electorates do.
Right.
And from what we understand, Herschel Walker's getting more votes than Teddy Wayman because Teddy likes blue cheese.
How about that?
So, you know.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. Boyd, what are you doing? Boyd Lake says, I hate when you smell burning bone at the dentist.
Bruh. Nah, I'm fine.
God damn. It's not good. Jeremy Bolton says, guys. If you go back to the 80s and you choose one dentist to work on the Jazz team, which dentist would it be?
Hey guys.
Dave
Hey, guys.
Corzine.
Hey guys.
All right, bots are in the chat.
Well, that didn't take too long, did it?
It only took 48
Yeah, that
minutes
didn't
here on
take
the
too
Monty
long.
Show.
We almost made it a whole show yesterday.
Yeah, we almost made it a whole show yesterday without, and now I got to report. And look at that. My guys at YouTube filtered it.
There you go. See? YouTube's getting
Appreciate
better.
you. YouTube is getting better.